The gym was buzzing with energy. Martial artists of all levels were practicing their katas, sparring and showing off their skills. Among them, a man in a crisp black guy moved with confidence. His chest puffed out, clearly proud of his rank and ability. He noticed someone in the corner calmly stretching, almost blending in with the crowd. It was Manny Pacquiao. Dressed casually in a gray t-shirt and joggers, he wasn't there to show off. No cameras, no fanfare. Just a man enjoying training, sharpening his skills quietly. But the black belt didn't see a fellow martial artist, he saw a target. "Hey, who let you in here?" The black belt sneered, striding toward Manny with exaggerated aggression. "Do you even know how to fight, or are you just pretending?" Manny looked up, serene and composed. "I'm just here to train, sir." "No problem," he replied politely. But the black belt wasn't satisfied. His eyes narrowed, scanning Manny as if sizing him up for humiliation. "Ha, you think you belong here? You don't have the skill for this place," he jeered, letting the words drip with arrogance and a hint of mockery. Some nearby students stopped to watch, sensing the tension. A few whispered among themselves, wondering why the black belt was being so confrontational. Manny didn't react. He remained calm, his posture relaxed, radiating quiet confidence. The black belt took a step closer, raising his fists playfully, trying to provoke him. "Come on, show me what you got. Or are you scared?" Manny didn't move, didn't throw a punch. He simply stayed grounded, letting the black belt's theatrics fill the room while his own composure spoke louder than any words. A subtle shift began in the air. The spectators could feel it, a classic case of arrogance meeting true strength. Manny didn't need to fight to prove himself. And little did the black belt know, he had just chosen the wrong man to mock. What Manny did next left everyone in the gym completely stunned. The black belt's smirk widened as he circled Manny like a predator sizing up prey. He threw a few exaggerated punches into the air, flexing his muscles and trying to draw attention. "Seriously, man, do you even know a single kata? Or are you just going to stand there like a statue?" he taunted. Manny remained calm, hands at his sides, eyes steady. "I'm here to learn, not to compete with anyone," he said softly, his voice carrying a quiet confidence that seemed to annoy the black belt even more. "Learn? Ha, you don't belong in my dojo," the black belt spat, stepping closer. He raised one fist as if daring Manny to engage. "You think you can just walk in here and act like you're one of us? I've trained for years. You're nothing." A small crowd had begun to gather, whispering and exchanging uneasy glances. Some pulled out their phones, anticipating a confrontation. The atmosphere was tense. The classic showdown of arrogance against composure. Manny tilted his head slightly, almost as if studying the man, but never once showing anger. "I'm not here to prove anything to you," he said evenly. "I respect the training you've done, but respect works both ways. Mocking someone won't make you stronger." The words cut through the room like a sharp blade. For a moment, the black belt hesitated, his confidence faltering slightly. But then, fueled by pride, he laughed and threw another series of flashy punches, this time closer to Manny. "Oh, so now you're gonna lecture me? Don't get cocky, buddy. You have no idea who you're messing with." Manny didn't flinch. He simply took a step back, maintaining a respectful stance. "I know exactly who I am," he said. "And I also know what respect looks like. You might want to try it sometime." The crowd began to murmur, some nodding in agreement, others whispering questions. "Who is this guy?" someone asked. "Why isn't he responding like everyone else would?" The black belt's face turned red with frustration. He stomped the floor and demonstrated a high kick, sending a loud thud through the gym. "Enough talk. Let's see what you've got, old man." Manny finally moved, but not to attack. He sidestepped the black belt's kick with the grace of a seasoned fighter, barely shifting his weight. Then he stepped forward, closing the distance calmly, his presence commanding attention. "It's not about fighting to prove yourself," Manny said, his voice firm but calm. "It's about knowing your limits and not letting arrogance guide your actions." The gym went silent. The black belt blinked, thrown off by Manny's composure and calm correction. His mockery had turned into embarrassment, but he wasn't ready to admit defeat. A few students whispered among themselves, filming every moment. One voice broke through, barely above a whisper. "That guy, he looks familiar. Isn't that?" The black belt ignored the murmurs, thinking the crowd's attention was just fear or excitement. But the seed of doubt had been planted. He tried another taunt. this time mimicking Manny's movements in a mocking way. "Oh, look at you, fancy footwork. Are you some kind of pro fighter or something?" Manny didn't respond with words or fists. He simply stood there calm, eyes unwavering, letting the black belt reveal his true nature. Insecure, arrogant, and desperate for validation. The tension in the room grew heavier. Everyone could sense it. The black belt's aggression was no match for Manny's quiet authority. People who had been filming whispered to each other, debating whether to intervene or just watch. Meanwhile, Manny's patience and dignity began to inspire the crowd. Some started thinking, if this man can remain calm under such blatant provocation, what about the people who face this kind of disrespect every day? Little did the black belt know, he had already lost the real battle. The confrontation was no longer about physical skill. It was about character, integrity, and the quiet strength that only comes from true confidence. And as the crowd's whispers grew louder, one thought started spreading. This is no ordinary man, and he's about to teach the black belt a lesson he'll never forget. Have you ever witnessed someone being mocked or judged unfairly? Share your story in the comments. Where are you watching from? The gym had become electric. What had started as a casual taunt had turned into a full-blown confrontation. The black belt, his pride bruised by Manny's unwavering calm, was growing increasingly aggressive. Every move he made was designed to intimidate. Exaggerated kicks, rapid punches, loud stomps. Yet Manny remained still, almost serene, like a rock in a storm. "You think you're better than me?" "Huh?" the black belt shouted, pointing aggressively. "You're nothing. I've trained my whole life to dominate people like you." Manny tilted his head slightly, observing. "I'm not trying to dominate anyone," he replied evenly. "You should focus on controlling yourself before trying to control others." The words cut deeper than any punch could. The black belt froze for a moment as if considering them, but arrogance quickly replaced reflection. "Control? You're insulting me. Let me show you what real skill looks like." He launched into a flurry of attacks, rapid strikes, spinning kicks, and exaggerated punches, each move more flamboyant than the last. But Manny didn't back down. He sidestepped each motion effortlessly, using minimal movement, conserving energy, and never allowing himself to be provoked. The crowd held its breath. Some whispered, "He's not even fighting back," but he's not afraid either. Others recorded on their phones, sensing a moment that might go viral. The black belt's frustration became visible. Sweat dripped down his forehead and his face reddened as he realized his theatrics weren't eliciting the response he expected. "Stand still, coward. Fight me," he roared. Manny didn't raise his fists. He simply moved closer, calm and deliberate. "I don't need to fight to show strength," he said, voice steady but commanding. "Respect is earned by how you treat others, not by how loudly you can strike." A few students began murmuring among themselves, glancing at each other in astonishment. The black belt's overconfidence was crumbling, yet he refused to back down. Instead, he tried to provoke Manny verbally, using racist and mocking comments. "You think someone like you belongs here?" he spat. "People like you shouldn't even be in a gym with real fighters." Manny's eyes narrowed slightly, just enough to show quiet intensity. He didn't shout, he didn't insult. He simply responded, "It doesn't matter what you think of me. What matters is how we treat others. That is what makes someone truly strong." The words struck a chord. Some onlookers began nodding, murmuring in agreement. Phones recorded every moment. The energy in the room shifted. The black belt's aggression no longer commanded respect. It drew pity and quiet judgment. The black belt, desperate to regain control, attempted another display, a spinning back kick aimed directly at Manny. With a calm pivot and subtle shift, Manny evaded effortlessly, landing just behind the black belt. The move was precise but non-violent, showcasing skill without malice. The crowd gasped. Whispers spread. "Who is this guy? He's controlling the situation without hitting him." The black belt staggered slightly, humiliated by his own loss of composure. His arrogance had collided with true mastery, not just of martial arts, but of character. He realized deep down that Manny wasn't just another fighter to mock. He was someone who commanded respect simply by refusing to stoop to insults and aggression. For a moment, the black belt stood frozen, breathing heavily, fists still raised, eyes darting around nervously. The crowd's attention had shifted completely. Manny's calmness had become magnetic. drawing respect even from those who didn't know who he was. And in that silence, the gym seemed to collectively acknowledge it. This was no ordinary confrontation. The black belt had escalated thinking he could humiliate a man with words and showmanship, but the lesson was already unfolding. True strength wasn't in mocking others or throwing punches. It was in standing firm with dignity against provocation. Little did the black belt know the moment of truth was about to come, and he had absolutely no idea who he was dealing with. The gym was buzzing with whispers. Every eye was fixed on the confrontation unfolding in the center. The black belt, his pride bruised but his ego still inflated, continued to jab and swing, trying to regain dominance. Yet Manny stood unmoved, calm and composed, a quiet eye in the storm of aggression. As the black belt attempted another flashy kick, a small voice from the edge of the crowd spoke hesitantly. "Wait, isn't that—" Several people paused, glancing at the man standing calmly in the middle of the chaos. One by one, their eyes widened in realization. "That's Manny Pacquiao," whispered another. "The world champion, the senator, the philanthropist." The whispers spread like wildfire. The murmurs turned into excited chatter, then into audible astonishment. Some onlookers pulled out their phones again, trying to record the moment before it escalated further. The black belt, oblivious to the shift in the room, continued his aggressive display. "Come on, is that all you've got? I'm getting bored," he shouted, clearly frustrated that Manny hadn't responded as he expected. Manny's gaze remained steady. He didn't reveal his identity yet. There was no need to boast, no reason to escalate further. He let the black belt's arrogance speak for itself. Every punch, every stomp, every taunt the black belt threw was now magnified by the crowd's growing realization. "You guys see that? That's Manny Pacquiao. The real Manny Pacquiao," someone exclaimed. Others turned their phones toward him, capturing the scene. The black belt still didn't notice. In his mind, he was performing a show of skill, demonstrating dominance over someone he assumed was ordinary. He mocked Manny's posture, his casual stance, his quiet confidence. "I've seen grandmasters with more backbone than this." Pathetic. But the gym was no longer paying attention to his words. Their focus had shifted. Every movement of Manny's, calm, precise, unreactive, was being compared to the black belt's frantic aggression. The contrast was glaring. Manny finally took a small step forward, closing the distance without raising his fists or showing aggression. His voice, calm but commanding, cut through the murmurs. "It's easy to try and dominate others when you're blinded by arrogance. True strength is shown by how you treat people, not by how loud or aggressive you are." The black belt froze mid-swing, momentarily stunned by the composure in Manny's voice. Around him, the gym had fallen silent. The spectators held their breath, sensing a turning point. Some of the students whispered, "He's not just controlling the situation. He's teaching a lesson." The black belt's ego would not allow him to pause for long. He lunged forward, attempting an intimidating forward strike, hoping to regain control. Manny sidestepped gracefully, landing just behind him, his movement precise yet non-violent. The crowd gasped collectively, awe spreading across their faces. You're just lucky," the black belt stammered, struggling to regain his composure, but his movements were sloppy now, each swing heavy with frustration. The onlookers began to exchange knowing glances. This man's confidence was crumbling. A young bystander holding a phone whispered in awe, "Do you realize who he is? That's Manny Pacquiao. He's not just some ordinary fighter. He's a legend." The black belt still didn't hear. His eyes were locked on Manny, too consumed by frustration to notice the gasps, the recording phones, or the murmurs spreading through the crowd. He believed that dominance was measured by brute skill and aggressive posturing, but Manny was proving him wrong at every turn. Manny didn't speak again, not yet. He simply stood there, letting the black belt's overconfidence unravel before everyone's eyes. Every flourish, every shout, every mockery the black belt displayed was only emphasizing the lesson he was being taught. Respect cannot be demanded, it must be earned. The crowd was electric now, leaning in as the black belt swung again, missed again, and stumbled slightly. Their attention was fixed entirely on Manny's calm authority, his quiet power, the way he commanded respect without ever lifting a fist. Some whispered, "If Manny can remain so calm under this kind of provocation, imagine the people who face this every day, the ones without a voice." And still the black belt remained unaware of the storm gathering around him. He continued, fueled by arrogance and desperation, not realizing that the moment of reckoning was approaching, a moment that would humiliate him in front of the very crowd he hoped to impress. The whispers grew louder. Everyone's recording this. He's going viral for standing his ground. And in the quiet strength of Manny Pacquiao, the gym began to understand something powerful. Real mastery isn't shown by aggression. It's shown by patience, dignity, and courage in the face of disrespect. The stage was set. The black belt had no idea the lesson he was about to learn, and it would be unforgettable. Next, the truth about who Manny really is will be revealed, and the black belt is about to realize he chose the wrong man to mock. The gym had fallen completely silent. Even the black belt, usually the loudest presence in the room, felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Manny Pacquiao stood perfectly still, his calm aura cutting through the tension like a blade. For the first time, he raised his voice, not in anger but in authority. "Enough," Manny said, his voice low, steady, and commanding. The single word echoed through the gym, carrying a force far greater than any punch or kick. The black belt froze mid-swing, his arrogance faltering. "I don't know why you feel the need to mock or provoke others," Manny continued, his eyes locking onto the man's. "Judging someone based on appearance, assuming they are weak or inferior, that's not skill. That's fear, and fear is never strength." The words struck the gym like lightning. Students whispered, mouths open in awe. Some leaned closer to catch every word. The black belt's fists trembled slightly, his chest rising and falling as his pride wrestled with reality. "You've spent years learning techniques," Manny said, pacing slowly forward, each step deliberate. "But true mastery isn't in your kicks or punches. It's in your character. It's in how you treat people. And right now, you're failing the simplest test of all." A few onlookers couldn't contain themselves. One student murmured, "He's speaking the truth, and everyone can feel it." Others held their phones, recording every moment, capturing not a fight, but a lesson in dignity and humility. The black belt's face was red with a mix of frustration and embarrassment. You think you're better than me?" he stammered, trying to regain control. Manny didn't flinch. "No," he said calmly. "I don't think I'm better than anyone. I only know that respect is earned through actions, not arrogance. You've mocked me. You've tried to intimidate me. And yet here I stand, calm, unshaken, showing you what true strength looks like." The moment Manny Pacquiao's identity became known, the gym erupted into chaos. Phones flashed everywhere, capturing the confrontation, Manny's calm composure, and the black belt's stunned humiliation. Clips were uploaded instantly to social media, spreading like wildfire. Within hours, the video had millions of views. Comments poured in from all over the world. Admiration, astonishment, and applause for the man who had faced arrogance with dignity. News outlets picked it up quickly. Headlines ran, "Manny Pacquiao humiliates arrogant black belt without throwing a punch," and "Legendary fighter teaches lesson in respect and humility." The story resonated far beyond martial arts circles. People everywhere were talking about the encounter, praising Manny for showing strength, integrity, and courage in the face of mockery and racial prejudice. Meanwhile, the black belt faced immediate backlash. Martial arts forums and social media users condemned his behavior. His arrogance, mockery, and misuse of authority in front of the crowd had made him infamous overnight. Sponsors and gym affiliates began distancing themselves. Students who had once admired him now questioned his character. The consequences were swift and unmistakable. The man who had tried to humiliate others was now being publicly shamed for his own arrogance. Yet Manny never sought to gloat or boast. He didn't post a celebratory message or taunt the black belt. Instead, he used the viral attention to highlight a larger, more meaningful lesson. In interviews and online messages, he said, "Strength is not about proving yourself by intimidating others. Strength is about respect, patience, and humility. We must treat everyone with dignity, regardless of who they are or where they come from. That is the true measure of a person." The message resonated. People from all walks of life connected with the story. Athletes, students, teachers, and parents, seeing it as an example of how to face injustice without compromising integrity. Manny's calm authority became a model for handling conflict, showing that power used for intimidation is weak, and power used with wisdom is enduring. Back at the gym, the black belt's defeat became a lesson in its own right. Students who had witnessed the event firsthand recounted it repeatedly. How he had mocked and challenged, how he had underestimated his opponent, and how he had been humbled not by fists but by integrity and self-control. His reputation suffered, but the greater impact was the awareness the incident created that arrogance and discrimination are always exposed when met with calm strength. As the story went viral, a trend began online. People shared videos with captions like "Dewan respect over arrogance, who stand tall like Manny, and strength is humility." It became more than just a viral moment. It became a cultural lesson in social justice, empathy, and moral courage. Manny Pacquiao's message was simple yet profound. True strength is not measured by how loudly you strike or how aggressively you dominate. It is measured by your ability to remain calm, dignified, and respectful, even when others are blind to their own wrongdoing. He showed the world that standing up against mockery, prejudice, and arrogance doesn't require violence. It requires character. The incident left an indelible mark. The black belt, humbled and shamed, would carry the lesson for the rest of his life. The crowd who witnessed it, and the millions who later watched online, had learned something far greater: that integrity is the most powerful force of all. If you believe no one should be judged by appearance or disrespected unfairly, type respect in the comments and subscribe for more inspiring stories of courage, dignity, and true strength.